More technology, more reporters, more reliable storm chasers.
Through the rest of the day today.
When bad weather is in your forecast, depend on the News 13 storm chasers.
Expect clouds, showers, and storms to roll in.
Count on storm chasers for complete storm coverage.
Hazardous weather
When
situation.
you need to be safe from the storm, there's only one place to turn: Storm Chasers. News 13 is the only local weather channel you need to watch. News 13 and Jeep, helping to keep you safe from the storm. Non-stop local news. Central Florida News 13. Central Florida News 13. All local, all the time. Your 10:30 a.m. morning watch starts now.
Florida could soon get a 1-2 punch from Mother Nature. This as Hurricane Francis continues its westward track towards the state of Florida. Keep it right here on News 13 for the very latest on Francis. FEMA continues to help those hit by Hurricane Charlie. It says they're preparing for Francis. The agency says no matter who gets hit by this latest storm, they will stay in Central Florida to help those in need. A new battle over beach driving is brewing in Flagler County. Some want to put an end to it, saying the cars are harming sea turtles. We'll have the details for you. Tomorrow is primary election day, but you can cast your ballot today. We'll tell you how.
Just happy to see gas prices staying under $2 consistently for the past month and a half or so. I knew the 8-cent tax wouldn't last forever, but, you know, so be it.
And time is running out for drivers to save at the gas pumps. Good morning, Central Florida. It is Monday, August 30th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Laura Noland. We'll have much more on the day's top stories for you in just a moment. First, though, we are keeping a close eye on Francis today. Let's get the latest on the storm and our back-to-work forecast from Chief Meteorologist Jeff Day and a check of our weather on the one.
Okay, thank you very much. Looks like we've got more showers and thunderstorms of the isolated variety here as we work into the late afternoon and early evening hours. We'll talk more of that for you in a moment. We want to focus on Francis here. Here it is, a well-defined hurricane, pretty good size too, making its way just to the north of the Virgin Islands here as we head through the next 24 hours or so. So hopefully those folks can be spared, but they do have actually hurricane watches in effect for the Virgin Islands. May extend into Puerto Rico later, and then to the south through the northern Leeward Islands here. We're also looking at a tropical storm warning in effect. The Monday 8 o'clock numbers at 19.2 north and 58.1 west, about 265 miles to the east and northeast of the Leeward Islands, and moving west at 12 with winds sustained at 120 miles an hour and gusting higher, and the pressure at 956 millibars. This storm should track just to the north of Hispaniola here, into the Bahamas, and hopefully curve from the southeastern U.S., though it will be a very close call. And so we'll have to monitor it closely, and we'll keep you up to date as we head through the next couple of days. Now, around Central Florida, partly cloudy skies again will be in our forecast as we head through the day. Rain should be fairly limited, but still at times can get pretty heavy in spots. So watch for some thunderstorm activity, otherwise partly cloudy. A high of 93 in Orlando, around 90 along the coast. Southwest winds at 5 to 10, and a comfort zone feeling like 101. I'll give you some more specifics, of course. The extended forecast in a couple of minutes. Now a live look at Stormwatch 13 Doppler radar.
Election 2004, and today the Republican National Convention opens in New York. And Republicans are on a mission this week to push the president's role in the war on terrorism. News 13's Sabrina Fang is at the convention in Madison Square Garden with the very latest.
No more Bush! No more Bush!
Bush bashing is popular in New York, and demonstrators wasted no time getting their message out.
Somebody just has to get this guy out of here because he's making a problem for the whole world.
I would vote for you if you ran against him. That's how bad I want him out. He has to go. We're going to do all we can to get him out.
Protesters will attempt to disrupt the convention with sit-ins, blockades, and even pie-throwing at high-level officials. But Madison Square Garden is now a fortress surrounded by some 10,000 police officers. Employees working in the area will have to show ID to get in.
Our goal is that any attempt on the part of terrorists to attack us will be frustrated and repelled by multiple layers of security that they will encounter all around the city.
The latest terror alert, coupled with a city that's been on high alert since 9/11, has many New Yorkers fleeing for the week. But the security setting could benefit the president, who's seen as strong on defense. Mr. Bush, who campaigned in Ohio and West Virginia over the weekend, says he wants 4 more years to make the country safer.
After September the 11th, this country must remember the new lessons. And a new lesson is that we must take threats seriously before they fully materialize.
And the other half of the Republican ticket rallied delegates on Ellis Island.
He is exactly the leader we need for these times, and we need him for 4 more years.
Now, the GOP plans to paint President Bush as a decisive commander-in-chief, and boosting that message tonight at the podium will be former mayor of the city, Rudy Giuliani, and former POW Senator John McCain. Meanwhile, the president will stay on the campaign trail today, making stops in New Hampshire and Michigan. At Madison Square Garden, New York City, Sabrina Fang, Central Florida News 13. Meanwhile, the children of John Kerry and John Edwards will be in Central Florida today. They're looking to get more college students out to the polls this November. Vanessa and Alex Kerry, Andre Hines, and Kate Edwards will hold a series of town hall meetings across the South this week, starting at the University of Central Florida and the University of South Florida in Tampa. Today's town hall meeting at UCF starts at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And, of course, keep it right here on News 13 for complete coverage of Election 2004. We will have all the results of the primary tomorrow night starting at 7 o'clock. Plus, starting today, we have coverage of the Republican National Convention. Our Jennifer Roberts is with the Republicans in New York City. And Scott Harris will have live updates each night so he can keep you up to date on the events. Before we take a break, here's a look at your Stormwatch 13 Doppler radar for all of Central Florida.
You're watching Central Florida News 13. All local, all the time.
Neuroskeletal imaging, the cutting edge in MRI technology. Because GE's 3 Tesla MRI has the strongest magnet and fastest computer, we produce the most detailed images possible. That means your doctor receives the most accurate diagnosis to provide you with the best treatment. Neuroskeletal's doctors and staff set the standard of patient care for leading hospitals and outpatient MRI centers throughout the world. Most patients have a choice. When you need an MRI, tell your doctor to refer you to the best. Neuroskeletal imaging of Winter Park and Orlando.
More technology.
Stormwatch 13 Doppler radar with satellite imagery showing
More reporters.
Live team coverage tonight at 11.
More reliable storm chasers.
The storm is making its presence felt in a big way here.
When bad weather is in your forecast, that's when we go to work. Storm chasers.
The heaviest of the rain moving through downtown Orlando.
We're expecting hurricane-force winds extending out about 25 miles.
When you want the most complete coverage, there's only one place to turn. Storm chasers on Central Florida News 13. From downtown Orlando to Kissimmee to Mount Dora and everywhere in between, News 13 has your local weather every 10 minutes. When the weather changes from sunshine to severe, News 13 has the information you need to plan your day. We're on the job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When you want your local weather forecast, there's only one station to turn to. Central Florida News 13. All local, all the time. Weather on the Ones is brought to you by Universal Nissan and Hyundai. Non-stop local news. Central Florida News 13.
Friends and family have said their final goodbyes to 2 of the victims of the Deltona mass murder. Yesterday, the ashes of Aaron Bellinger and Francisco Roman were spread into the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Boston. The couple had just moved to Deltona from Lowell, Massachusetts when they were killed earlier this month. Bellinger and Roman were 2 of 6 people killed in a home on Telford Lane back on August 6th. 4 men are now charged with those killings. They're accused of breaking into that home and bludgeoning the friends to death because Bellinger removed one of the suspects' belongings from her grandmother's home where he was staying illegally. Things are back to normal today at the Florida Mall after some bold bandits pulled off a jewelry store heist over the weekend. Orange County Sheriff's deputies say 3 men held up the Bailey, Banks, and Biddle store on Saturday. It happened just before 11 o'clock in the morning when the mall was packed with shoppers. Investigators say 2 of the men were armed with guns, the third with a crowbar, and all were wearing biohazard suits. Sheriff's office says the suspect stole a case with expensive jewelry inside and then escaped through a fire exit. The search is still on for those 3 men. 2 teenagers are dead after a car crash in Lake County. Florida Highway Patrol says 19-year-old Aaron Porter and 16-year-old Kenneth Vandergriff lost control of their car yesterday on Lake Unity Road. That's in Fruitland Park. Both teens were thrown from the car, and Vandergriff ended up crashing through the roof of a home. Investigators believe the two had left a party and had been drinking and speeding. Neither was wearing a seatbelt. The latest on the tropics right after the break with our weather on the one. And still ahead, time is running out for drivers to save some bucks at the gas pump. We'll here tell you when the state gas tax holiday will come to an end right after this.
Your 24-hour local news source, Central Florida News 13.
If kids rule the world, I would bring all my toys everywhere. I could watch movies whenever I wanted. If kids ruled the world, I would bring the 4 hombres to show and tell. If kids ruled the world, I would go to Universal theme parks Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
The Toyota Sienna has everything kids want and everything you need to make your drive to Universal theme parks comfortable, safe, and fun.
Weather on the Ones is brought to you by Bogan, Munns & Munns, attorneys at law.
Time again for another check of your weather on the Ones. Continuing to follow. First off, Hurricane Francis is of 8 o'clock this morning at 19.2 north and 58.1 west. That put it about 265 miles east and northeast of the northern Leeward Islands and moving west at 12. Winds sustained at 120 miles an hour and a pressure of 956 millibars or 28.23 inches. Again, a very well-organized storm system here, trying to push further on off to the west as we move through the next couple of days. Projections want to carry just to the north of Leeward Islands, Hispaniola, up into the Bahamas, and pretty close to Central Florida by the time we head into 2 a.m. on Saturday. And again, this track can vary quite a bit. As a matter of fact, some of the stronger computer models even want to take it on up toward Lake Okeechobee or maybe just a little bit to the north of that. So please monitor this closely. By the way, at this point, putting it about 175 to 180 miles to the east and southeast of the Cape. So we'll keep an eye on that, of course, and we'll have some more details on the track and such in just a moment with your tropical update. Now, as far as what's happening here around Central Florida, showers and thunderstorms anticipated as we work through the afternoon and early evening hours, though fairly isolated, around a 30 to 40% chance, kind of like what we saw yesterday. Lots of activity with the leftovers of Gaston and Hermine trying to actually get together further to the north up and along the eastern seaboard. Here are some showers and thunderstorms possible into southern Brevard County, kind of like what you saw this morning during the overnight, but otherwise partly cloudy to fair skies with more thunderstorm activity, fairly isolated as we head through the day tomorrow here around Central Florida. Now, giving a look at what we can expect as far as temperatures go here. Area-wide, expecting them to be around 90 to 92, 93 degrees. Claremont, we're going to go for a high of 94 for you today with winds from the southwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. The sea breeze fairly limited. Down into Melbourne, you could be looking at a little bit more of a southeast wind. Lows tonight of 73 to 75. Again, fair skies. We mentioned those showers along the coastal areas could be possible for the overnight, and then isolated thunderstorm again for tomorrow, and high temperatures again in the lower, maybe mid-90s for some. Extended forecast. Scattered showers and thunderstorms to pick up a little bit of the activity here as we head toward the weekend. Could look at things changing a bit, of course, depending on the track of Francis as we head into the weekend. For now, though, with highs near 90 and lows of 74 to 75 degrees. Golfers, you can expect to see some isolated thunderstorms this afternoon, otherwise partly sunny, 90 by 5 after topping out again at around 93 degrees. Tomorrow morning, fair skies and 75. And as far as the surf conditions, surf's probably going to pick up a little bit in the next few days, but right now 2 feet or less. Semi-choppy, water temperature 81. More coming up in a few minutes. Now a live look at Storm Watch 13 Doppler radar.
Central Florida at 10:43. Things are looking not too bad on 50 east or westbound near 95 out in Brevard County. I-4 looks good in both directions through Seminole County. We'll check out I-4 live in downtown Orlando right now. Well, no reported problems here. This is I-4 north of the 408. Do have some problems in Seminole County. It's a wreck on 434 west of 427 at 434 and Mingo Trail, and a wreck in Oviedo. That's a crash at McCullough and Lockwood Boulevard. Also cleaning up a wreck at Dean and East Colonial Drive. I'm Susan Michael, Central Florida News 13.
If you're hitting the roads today or tomorrow, you might want to consider filling up the gas tank, even if you're not running on empty. That's because the state's gas tax holiday is coming to an end. As News 13's Carolina Lead tells us, drivers say the holiday helped a lot in what has turned out to be an expensive summer on the roads.
Because then it's $20 more on my pocket again.
Savings at the pump are coming to an end. Florida's month-long gas sales tax holiday ends when the month of August runs out. Lawmakers put together the deal, dropping the state tax by 8 cents.
Just happy to see gas prices staying under $2 consistently for the past month and a half or so. I knew the 8-cent tax wouldn't last forever, but, so be it.
According to AAA, the state average for regular unleaded is $1.81.8, down from a month ago, but up from a year ago.
Well, I think that it will be more noticeable after you start checking what you've done for the whole month and you calculate your expenditures.
Governor Jeb Bush signed the gas tax break into law May 20th. According to the state, it's saving consumers about $60 million. Still, some motorists see it as a politically motivated move.
Right before the November elections definitely helps.
It takes the heat off of some of the incumbents, because people are tired of the high price of gas. And I'm sure that that's not a coincidence that it's right before the elections.
It couldn't be better timing, say some. Unexpected hurricane cleanup costs hurting many financially. Others say because of the storm, they barely noticed.
The fact that it's been under $2 for, weeks now has been really nice, especially in the face of the storm coming through.
I have to pay $3,500 to get my trees out of my hurricane-infested yard, so the gas tax doesn't help as much as as a hurricane hurts.
The savings on a 15-gallon fill-up is $1.20. For some, much-needed relief.
I think it's wonderful. I hope they do it again.
In Orlando, Carolina Lead, Central Florida News 13.
According to AAA, gas prices normally spike during the Labor Day weekend. Some analysts are expecting prices to go up for the holiday, but others disagree. They say gas costs should stay the same.
When you see it happening right now, when you think it should be on TV, call the News 13 Newsline at 407-513-1313. 407-513-1313. We're ready when you are. Central Florida News 13.
When tender, juicy seasoned steaks are grilled over an open flame, it must be a special occasion. But when they're USDA sirloins, aged for tenderness, never frozen and hand-cut daily on site, over an inch thick, you might begin to wonder, are you worthy? At Golden Corral, we think so. Steak on the buffet every night.
From downtown Orlando to Kissimmee to Mount Dora and everywhere in between, News 13 has your local weather every 10 minutes. When the weather changes from sunshine to severe, News 13 has the information you need to plan your day. We're on the job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When you want your local weather forecast, there's only one station to turn to. Central Florida News 13. All local, all the time. Weather on the Ones is brought to you by your Central Florida Ace Hardware dealers.
Want more adventure this summer? Get more and get going to the Jeep Summer Sales Drive, where you'll have to hurry if you're going to get the Jeep vehicle you want and grab $1,000 in bonus cash for a combined cash allowance of $4,500 on the legendary Jeep Grand Cherokee. But you've got to get it in gear because these offers end August 31st. Nothing's more fun than summer in a Jeep vehicle. Want more? Get going. See your Jeep dealer today because summer's almost gone and so is the Summer Sales Drive.
News News and information when you want it. Central Florida News 13.
After Charlie, we probably all have some work to do, and it's often uprighting overblown trees and shrubs. I'm Tom McCubbin with the Lawn and Garden Report. You know, I get lots of emails and lots of questions, lots of phone calls. You know, what's practical? What can I do? What should I upright? What can be saved? Well, whatever you can handle, I think, is the best answer. Like this little shrub here, this little crepe myrtle. It's fairly new, and it kind of blew over. But if a tree is in the 20 to 30 foot tall range, you may not be able to do it. You may need a professional. As you can see, it's over. The ball's kind of loose. Now, you're probably not going to want to just go through and pull it up like that, but take out some soil over on this side. You'll create a little pocket in the ground so that you can pull the tree up a lot easier. Now, if you're pulling it up or it's a shrub or a tree, you may need to go through and cut a few roots on the back side, make it a little easier, and then start to just fill in so you can get it up and start adding the soil around the plant. Now, the other thing, don't forget some stakes. You may have to add some stakes and tie it up. Try not to use just rope or a rubber hose. Get some kind of strapping material, and that will help out. Treat this one as a newly planted plant, and it should recover. I'm Tom McCubbin.
Tom McCubbin will be back Wednesday with more tips for your lawn and garden. You can also learn more from Tom in the Sunday Home section of the Orlando Sentinel. Tom McCubbin is a University of Florida Horticulture Extension agent. A check of Francis and our forecast next after the break.
You're watching Central Florida News 13. All local, all the time.
I just sold my house through Help You Sell, and this is what I saved in commissions.
Our Help You Sell counselor helped us sell our house in just 10 days. And I really appreciate their 100% satisfaction guarantee.
The Help You Sell office had a bigger selection and lower prices. And we were finally able to afford the house that we'd always dreamed of.
Don't just sit there. Move it with Help You Sell.
It's the smartest move I ever made.
From the moment you're greeted at the door, you'll know that Peppino's is a very special place. Your experience begins with Peppino's unforgettable breadsticks. Then choose from a wide variety of enticing entrees like chicken marsala or veal salt and boca. Then finish by choosing from a spectacular array of homemade desserts. Peppino's is casually elegant with its own special charm. Located in Oviedo, just 2 miles north of UCF on Alafayette Trail, Peppino's is warm, friendly, and near perfection.
Non-stop local news. Central Florida News 13.
Time for that tropical update. 21 minutes and 51 minutes past the hour. Of course, we have Francis we're going to talk about in just a moment here. Also have Ramin moving along the eastern seaboard, and what's left of Gaston, bringing heavy rainfall through North Carolina earlier this morning. South Carolina, Kingstree, South Carolina, 10 inches of rain as a result of the storm, and that rain also continuing to move further to the north. But let's focus on Francis here first off. 8 o'clock this morning at 19-2 north, 58.1 west. About 265 miles east and northeast of the Leeward Islands and moving west at 12 with winds sustained at 120 miles an hour, making it a very strong Category 3 hurricane at this point and could get right back up into Category 4 status. Here's our storm. Again, very well organized. You have good outflow and see the spiraling right around the center of low pressure, well-defined eye, and those hurricane force winds extending out around 80 miles or so from the center of circulation. So we've got tropical storm warnings in effect for the northern Leeward Islands and the hurricane watch in effect for the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and could be looking at these upgraded or extended further on off to the west as we head through the day. As the storm is expected to continue to move in that general direction by 2 a.m. on Wednesday, winds at around 135 miles an hour sustained. So back to where it was earlier. And from this point, may begin to turn a little bit as a ridge of high pressure weakens. Now, that ridge of high pressure is traditionally in place and would cause storms to take that turn. But computer models, some say that won't happen. It could actually take the storm on into the Florida coastline as we head through the day on Saturday and into Sunday. So certainly have to watch closely what happens with this storm. We'll keep you up to date, of course. Hermine, as we mentioned, not much of a threat for the U.S. here. Monday at 5 a.m., moving off to the north at 18 miles an hour at 34.6 north and 71.5 west. It is expected to trek just like so right along the coastline and up into Newfoundland as we head into the next, 24 hours. By 2 o'clock tomorrow, winds at 35 miles an hour. So scooting along pretty quick, and we'll bring in some rain there. And the rest of the Atlantic looking pretty good, except for a wave pushing off the coast of Africa. This could be our next tropical system, and we'll let you know. Well, let's try to focus on Francis here first off, and the local forecast for the day today. With isolated thunderstorms, a high of 93. Otherwise partly cloudy, southwest winds at 5 to 10. Some of those thunderstorms may try to linger during the overnight along the coast, but generally fair skies, a low of 75. And then isolated stuff again for Tuesday, Wednesday, picking it up for Thursday through Saturday. And again, come Saturday this weekend, we'll have to see what comes of our storm system, Francis, and what kind of impact it'll have here in Central Florida. Otherwise, highs near 90, lows in the middle 70s. And the boating forecast, partly sunny, scattered thunderstorms, and southwest winds of 10 to 15 knots. And that is your forecast. We'll have more for you coming up. Now a live look at Stormwatch 13 Doppler radar.
New today in Flagler County briefs, FEMA's Disaster Recovery Center in Flagler Beach will stay open until the last claim is filed. The center opened in front of the Flagler Beach Fire Department on Saturday. Well, Flagler County was recently added to the list of counties in the disaster area. And that Disaster Recovery Center will be open from 8 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. The Flagler County Chamber of Commerce is on the verge of building a new headquarters in Palm Coast. The chamber submitting an application for a new building to the St. Johns River Water Management District. Now, that facility would be adjacent to its current building on Airport Road. If approved, the chamber will break ground on the 10,000 square foot building in October. Well, it worked in Volusia County. Now turtle advocates are hoping a new lawsuit will change the rules for beach driving in Flagler County. Longtime turtle advocate Shirley Reynolds and Flagler County resident Stephen Belida have filed a suit claiming driving on the sand is harming the turtles and violating the Endangered Species Act. It is the same legal argument that restricted beach driving in Volusia County back in the 1990s. Right now, Flagler County allows driving on 8 miles of beach in unincorporated areas.
After nearly 30 years in the corporate world, one woman had a wake-up call when her mother died. I'm Jackie Brockington with today's Smart Woman.
Jennifer Smith Turner is in love with the written word.
Oh, I absolutely love it. I love to read it. I like to speak it. I absolutely do.
Others, including celebrated author Maya Angelou, love what she writes.
To have her words grace the back of my book and have the words say what they say it was just amazing.
Jennifer also teaches businesses how to incorporate creativity. Her client, Stamford High School, has assigned her a tough task, getting students excited about poetry. So Jennifer inspires the crowd with some of her poems.
Licorice Stick, think he better than we? He thought it must finally be safe to say ain't.
It works. Soon the kids are reading their own poems.
With their writing, with their poetry, with their speaking, particularly with the standing up in front of a group, because as we all know, you end up having to do that all the time in business.
She recommends schools find ways to create forums like this for the kids to express themselves. She says giving kids that confidence will serve them the rest of their lives.
For more on infusing creativity into your life, send a self-addressed, stamped envelope to Smart Woman, number 1108, Central Florida News 13, 64 East Concord Street, Orlando, Florida, 32801. That's today's Smart Woman. I'm Jackie Brockington.
That's it for this half hour here at Central Florida News 13. I'm Laura Noland. When your Morning Watch comes back, the latest on Central Florida's focus on Francis, as many stock up on supplies while the storm swirls out at sea. A sad end in the case of a lightning strike in Orange County as a 10-year-old hit last week passes away. And it's a big day for Republicans as the GOP's national convention kicks off in New York City. Hear who's on the guest list for tonight when we come back. Stay with us.
Smart Woman is brought to you by Burdines Macy's.
So, you've got a house to sell. Sure, you can go through a typical real estate agent and pay thousands of extra dollars in commissions. Or you can call Assist to Sell and pay just $24.95. We'll provide all the services you need to sell your home, all for one fixed fee. And if you're looking to buy, call or log on today and check out our extensive listing of homes to fit every lifestyle. It's no wonder so many people are choosing Assist-to-Sell. Full service with big savings.
More technology, more reporters, more reliable storm chasers.
Out through the rest of the day today.
When bad weather is in your forecast, depend on the News 13 storm chasers.
Expect clouds, showers, and storms to roll in.
Count on storm chasers for complete storm coverage.
Hazardous weather
When you need to be safe from the storm, there's only one place to turn: Storm Chasers. News 13 is the only local weather channel you need to watch. News 13 and Jeep, helping to keep you safe from the storm. Non-stop local news. Central Florida News 13. You're watching Central Florida News 13. All local, all the time. Central Florida News 13. All local, all the time. Your 11 a.m. morning watch starts now.
Good morning, Central Florida, and thanks so much for joining us on Morning Watch. I'm Yvette Brusual with continuing coverage of life after Hurricane Charlie and life before Hurricane Francis. In just a moment, we're going to take you live to the Disaster Field Office in Orlando, where the Federal Emergency Management Agency is getting ready to hold a press conference. Now, the agency is expected to discuss the continuing recovery efforts from Hurricane Charlie and what preparations are already in motion for the potential impact from Hurricane Francis. We're expecting to hear from FEMA. There you're taking a live look at some of the representatives. Let's listen in.
And then if you could just keep your phone on mute until the presentation is over, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you have any questions after the presentation, after the Q&A, you want to follow up, the news desk number is area code 407 858.
5 seconds. Can you move up to the flag shadow, please?
I think we're just about to start.
Good morning. This is Sterling Ivey with the State of Florida's Emergency Response Team. I'm joined today by Justo Hernandez, the Deputy Federal Coordinating Officer for FEMA, and with media on the phone as well as here in the studio. Immediately following the presentations this morning, we will take your questions. We will go one question in the studio, then a question from the phone. If there are any reporters watching this downlink who have not called in and want to participate, we ask that you call 1-800-320-4330, and the PIN number you'll need to remember is 484-585. But before we begin, let me just give you one quick reminder about schools in Charlotte County. They did start on a split session this morning with some National Guard troops serving as bus drivers in Charlotte County. Those National Guard troops will be especially important during the afternoon pickups that will begin about 11 o'clock this morning. So far, it appears everything is running pretty smoothly. There hasn't been any noticeable reports of anything going on that's out of link in Charlotte County. In regards to Hurricane Francis, the state of Florida is monitoring the projected track of Hurricane Francis, and we are discussing initial plans for deployment should it be necessary. We are meeting with our FEMA partners about staffing and logistics, and should this storm hit Florida, we feel like we'll be prepared. It's very important that you include in your stories that we will continue Hurricane Charlie recovery operations as we plan for this pending crisis. Frank Kuknick, the Deputy Coordinating Officer for the state of Florida, is here and will be available to answer any specific questions about the state's preparedness for Hurricane Francis. As a reminder, tomorrow primary voting will occur across the state, including in counties impacted by Hurricane Charlie. Voters are reminded that some precincts may have been consolidated or relocated, and if voters have not had an opportunity to call their state elections office, we urge them to do so today. If that is not a viable option for voters, they can also call a toll-free number 1-866-308-6379 to find out where their polling place will be in Charlotte, Hardee, DeSoto, or any of the other impacted counties. For the hearing impaired, the number is 1-800-955-8771. One final update for this morning. The number of people in shelters across the state is still at 286 as of 5 p.m. yesterday. The state is continuing to operate 8 shelters throughout the disaster areas. Now I'll turn things over to Justo Hernandez, the Deputy Federal Coordinating Officer for FEMA, who will provide you with an update on the federal recovery effort and federal assistance programs. Justo?
Thank you, Sterling. Good morning. My name is Justo Hernandez, Deputy Federal Coordinating Officer, assisting in the direction of the federal efforts for this event. Be alert, news media, that we will be actually sending the news updates in the afternoons with the latest information. We want everyone to know that the state recovery team, the federal and the state, will be here assessing all the needs, and we are committed to Hurricane Charlie. At this time, we have over 1,500 federal employees from different agencies that are here in Florida working on operations. We also have over 1,300 state of Florida employees. We have National Guardsmen that are active in this disaster, and many volunteers. And we will ride the storm. If the storm comes in, we will ride it here in Miami. We will continue to assess our staffing needs. We will be looking at the recovery effort that we have on hand, but we're working also with plans of action as it relates to any pending event that might affect the hurricane and the recovery efforts for Hurricane Charlie. We will be here for as long as it takes. Now, a brief update. Yesterday, Sunday, we had 854 families that called our FEMA teleregistration number, and people that need this type of assistance should call 1-800-621-3362. For the speech and hearing impaired, they should call 1-800-462-7585. So far, our limit has been gone up to 162,273 families that have registered so far for assistance. But we cannot help you if we don't know that you need help. So you need to contact us at 1-800-621-3362. Our operators are standing by. We have these calls that can be done 24 hours, 7 days a week. In terms of housing assistance, we have been able to provide $49.6 million in housing assistance. This is $1 million that we were able to process in Sunday alone. This is for the families that have gone through the process of inspections that we have been providing so far. Another $31.4 million have been also disbursed to families affected for this disaster, and that elevates our total assistance so far to $81 million in the assistance that we're providing to the families that are calling us. The numbers of checks that we have submitted at this time is approaching 50,000 checks. We have assistance for rental assistance. We have over 18,000 residents and families that have received rental assistance money from us. We continue our inspection process. Yesterday, we were able to complete 2,200 inspections. Only 1,800 inspections need to be done for this event. Our assistance has been done as fast and as accurate and as expedient as we can actually provide them. Our inspectors are trained. They know what they're looking for. They will actually know and have the experience necessary to determine what type of losses you had and what type of programs are available that can actually help you the best. We have been able to do this by actually using technology. We have handheld computers that can actually expedite the process from the time that you register for assistance to the time that you get an inspection to the time that you get a check. It's as easy as that by calling 1-800-621-3362. We have 247 families housing travel trailers. We have 601 travel trailers that are ready for occupancy at this time. And we will continue with our mission of bringing mobile homes and travel trailers to the areas affected. At this time, our mission with the Army Corps of Engineers and the voluntary agencies have been able to install 4,032 plastic roofs in the homes that can be actually benefit from this assistance to get the families back to their homes. And there's many, many more that have been installed by their own people and by the same residents. And if you need this type of assistance, you can contact your county emergency management office for details on how to acquire plastic sheeting for your home. We want to take an opportunity to thank the volunteers. The amounts of volunteers and the types of jobs that they're doing. We have from Red Cross, from Salvation Army, from people that came from other states to actually lend a helping hand. And we have to really, really be thankful for their help, because without their help, we wouldn't be where we are at this time. Untiring, unpaid, and it's a truly, truly rewarding work that they do. We continue our power restoration. We can safely say that we have 99% of the power restored. Those areas that don't have power at this time is because the infrastructure was hit so hard that it needs to be replaced in some areas. We will continue with that effort with state, local, and federal resources to provide that service immediately as soon as possible. Our disaster recovery centers, we have seen so far 26,799 families that have gone through our centers, 14 centers open. And note to the editors, please continue to provide information in your media regarding to the address and location of the DRCs, because this is the method by which the families can get a face-to-face interaction with us, and they can tell us what their additional needs they have. We can help them with the SBA, Small Business Administration loan package, and we will be able to help them better by actually understanding them and giving them that support face-to-face. Insurance. Remind your viewers that the insurance is the key element of any kind of recovery that we get into. Insurance is primary help for everyone that has a home. Now, you don't have to call FEMA before or after that insurance, but we want you to call FEMA, and we want you to process your claim with the insurance and then call FEMA and let us know where you stand. We understand that there's different policies. We understand that there's different agencies that are providing this insurance, and these policies and these agencies are unique and case by case. So we want to work with each and every one of them case by case. Deductibles are not one of the necessary items that FEMA works with. However, we can work with uninsured or underinsured losses and cover those losses, and the Small Business Administration can also help. Today we have Michael Lampton from the Small Business Administration to provide us a report.
Thank you, Tito, and good morning. The Small Business Administration has developed a contingency plan to work with Hurricane Frances if needed. However, we remain committed to meeting all of the emergency needs of the individuals and victims of Hurricane Charlie by deploying additional staff members to the disaster recovery centers in and around the state. And we want to work with them to complete their applications as much as possible. Low-interest loans from the Small Business Administration is the primary source of federal funding for long-term recovery for homeowners, businesses, and renters. We continue to encourage these disaster victims to apply for this assistance and get your application in as quickly as possible. The disaster victims with insurance should not wait to receive their settlement from their insurance companies before applying for the Small Business Administration. We can utilize that time that you're taking while waiting on your settlement to go ahead and process your loan and get those funds to you to quickly begin the processing and quickly begin your recovery effort while you're waiting on your insurance settlement. Once your settlement is received, you can use that settlement to either repay your SBA loan or reduce that loan. We want to emphasize to those victims that funds received from your SBA loan can be used for deductibles and may cover all of your uninsured or insurance costs if you have no insurance at all. SBA so far has approved over $4 million in disaster loan to victims in the state of Florida and have received approximately 120,000 applications. Remember, the disaster loan program is for the disaster victims in the state, and we want to continue to emphasize and work with those victims to make certain that they get all of the information that they need. We have staff at all of the disaster recovery centers there to assist you with completing your application and answering any questions that you may have. In order to get the process started, as Tito had indicated earlier, you must call the 800 number to begin the process. Thank you.
I have received a corrected version. We have 19 disaster recovery centers open. We will continue to open more disaster recovery centers in the declared areas for as long as we need to open them and according to the need of the disaster victims out there. We have Spanish-speaking call takers in Texas and Puerto Rico in our National Processing Service Centers. We have additional call takers in Berryville, Virginia and Mount Weather, and they're open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Please call us. We cannot help you if we don't know that you need help. Now back to Sterling.
Thank you, Tito. With that, we'll open up the questions. The first question we're going to take is going to be from the audience.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes. Please wait until the questions are asked.
Oh, okay.
And we'll call on you.
Can't hear any. Yeah, we can't hear anything at all.
They'll repeat it.
Hello? Hello? Just going to restate the question in just a moment, you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, there was a little interference, but I think if I understand the question right, if someone's currently receiving repairs on a home or a structure, what should they be doing to prepare for Hurricane Francis?
Well, should they have the work done?
Should they have the work done?
That maybe this next one's going to come through with more damage, and how will that affect the kind of assistance they get from the responders? What's your advice to our side?
The question is whether people that are actually getting repairs or actually undergoing repairs at this time, whether they should actually interrupt those repairs or what type of situation they should get, provided that they have another event coming. And the answer is simple: use your logic. I mean, if you feel that you're going to be in the path of the storm, no one knows for sure what path this storm is going to take. We're taking all the contingency planning here in FEMA to cover for whatever rapid response we need to provide for that particular event. Now, families that are undergoing repairs or families that are actually now getting into their homes to actually pick up the debris and start working with that situation, they shouldn't wait, but they should be cautious and careful as to another impending event, and take the necessary precautions. We urge everyone to follow their local officials and the state officials on information as to whether we're going to get into evictions, evacuations, and get the people out of harm's way. And we will also follow those regulations, and we will follow those directions too. But use your common sense. I mean, if you feel that you're going to get into a situation in which you're going to install a new roof and you have a new hurricane coming, I wouldn't do it. I will wait a couple of days. Let's face it, we expect this storm to be approaching the continental United States probably by the end of this week. We should be really, really savvy of the situation as to where we stand and whether we're going to be in harm's way, and we will take that decision accordingly.
If someone does, let's say someone has a scheduled roof repair Wednesday and they have it done, and by Wednesday the predictions are that the storm is going to miss us, and then for some reason it takes a turn and it flattens their roof again, do they get help a second time equal to the first?
The question is whether a victim receives some monetary assistance, either by insurance or whatever method, they do the repairs and then they get slammed again by another event. What type of assistance will be there for them? Is that the question? Yeah. Well, we will follow the state's needs, and we will do assessments on any event that affects the state of Florida. If we have a need for a new declaration for the president, that will be considered at that time. Based on that situation, we will actually work. And if we get into another declaration for another event, yes, we will take that case. We will look into what receipts of the money and how they spend that money, and they will work accordingly to provide them the necessary needed help. As I said, every case in FEMA is on a case-by-case basis. So we need to talk to the family, see what status they have, what kind of situations they have, and we'll work with each one of them to get them the necessary help.
This is Doug Welty with FEMA Public Affairs. I have several members of the media on the phone. Anybody who joined the teleconference after the start of the presentation, if you could wait and then we'll ask for additional members of the media at that time. But I have 4 listed. First is Peter King with the CBS Radio Network. Peter?
Thanks very much. Can you hear me all right there?
We can hear you just fine, Peter.
Great. This question is for Mr. Kutnick, and I'm looking ahead to Francis because we know that the last 3 weeks have been a grueling time for emergency crews, for the emergency managers. We know that you've all been working very, very long hours dealing with Charlie. With that in mind, how ready are you to deal with another storm that may or may not hit this state? And to qualify that, who do you think is most ready, and who do you think could use a couple more days of breathing time?
We have discussed that in great detail here at the Disaster Field Office and at what we are calling Command Charlie, which is where most of our responders are relocated from Tallahassee down to Port Charlotte. Our plan is to, in the event of an approach of Hurricane Fran, we will all relocate back to Tallahassee, back to the State Emergency Operations Center. We will supplement ourselves with other personnel from other states who have offered to volunteer to come in and backfill for us. A critical thing that we do not want to do is to slow down the recovery to Hurricane Charlie while we are scurrying to respond to Hurricane Francis. So we will continue both operations full-blown so that nobody is going to be shut down or nothing will be slowed down. So that's our current thinking and plans.
And if I may have a follow-up, I mean, some of those crews were working ungodly long hours out there trying to get the juice back on and everything after Charlie. I think an FPL spokesman told me that it was 16 hours on, 8 hours off, and that is a grueling pace to keep up for a couple weeks. I'm wondering if there's any concern that those kinds of resources may have been stretched to the max, and you might not be able to pull it off again if Francis hits Florida.
Excellent question. The power utilities have backup and contingency plans. Florida Power and Light, Florida Power, and all of the other co-ops have backup contingency plans just for events like this. As we've said before, you have to realize this is not the first time the state of Florida has been impacted by 2 major hurricanes in a given year. There are a lot of plans that have been put into place for contingencies just like this. So rest assured, the power companies are telling us that they would backfill their crews that are currently out there and supplement them again with mutual aid from other states and other companies to make sure that the power restoration went just as rapidly as they did in Hurricane Charlie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question in the audience. Seeing no question.
Part of the operations at FEMA and the state will come in, and the question is simple. They're visiting the disaster field office, and we have a lot of people that are coming in to get some jobs. We will fill for any kind of sections within the disaster field office, and we will hire locally. At this time, we have over 150 local residents here and throughout the disaster areas actually helping us get the word out. We will go into communities. For example, if we need certain people, certain key elements of the community, we will look at hiring these resources so that we can actually get the accessibility to the community that we need to get the word out. This becomes especially important because we need the lead from the locals in actually getting into our areas affected. We have over 150 locally hired employees at this time, and we will continue to do that. Yes?
It's so hard to understand.
Basically, the question was, do we need any more staff? And the answer is simple. We will adjust our staffing according to the needs and the priorities of this event. At this time, as I said, we have over 1,500 federal employees here. That includes those locally hired staff that we have. We have over 1,300 state of Florida employees. We have National Guardsmen. We have people from the Red Cross, the voluntary agencies. We have thousands of volunteers in the state of Florida at this time. We will continue to look at our staffing and adjust accordingly.
Okay, again, another question from telephone media. And please, if you can keep your comments until afterwards, because it can be distracting if you make a comment during a response or during a question. We will have the questions posed in the studio repeated again, so you can be clear on that. Next, I have Christy Arnold with Charlotte Sun. Christy?
Hi, thank you. This question is regarding especially Charlotte County, DeSoto County areas right now. I know there's a very limited amount of hotel space pretty much from Lakeland on south here right now, not to mention the fact that Charlotte and DeSoto are in very kind of limited situations right now as well with shelters. Even if a hurricane hit the East Coast, is the state adequately prepared to be able to handle all the evacuations given the very limited amount of hotel rooms and shelters available right now in the interior portion and on the Gulf Coast?
The question, just to repeat for anyone who couldn't hear, involves evacuations. Is the state prepared for evacuations? A lot of hotels are currently booked from Lakeland south to the end of the state. Is the state prepared for evacuations and shelters? Frank?
Yes, the state is prepared to shelter anybody who seeks a shelter. We have, again, been working on this for a long time to develop comprehensive sheltering plans in coordination with the American Red Cross. In the event that Hurricane Francis does impact the state, there will be adequate numbers of shelters available. If not, we will make sure that we open additional facilities such as churches and other non-traditional shelters and make them shelters into shelters. So do not fear, there will be an adequate shelter space in the event of Charlie.
Christy, did you have a final look?
Yeah, could I get one quick follow-up? God forbid that Francis made an odd route around the peninsula here, or given that we have about 3 months left of the hurricane season plus peak season, Charlotte County, DeSoto County, Sarasota, and Lee are going to be bracing for potentially another hurricane here. At this point, I'm not sure that, and our local officials have said the same thing, we really couldn't even handle a tropical storm at this point. What would happen if something came up here threatening the area that's already been devastated by Hurricane Charlie in terms of evacuation shelters, etc., here in Charlotte County?
The question is, what would happen in the event of another impact from another storm in the areas that are already devastated by Hurricane Charlie in terms of sheltering? Again, we would have to work very closely with the local emergency management agency and the American Red Cross to determine the current availability of shelter spaces. We would make an all-out effort to make sure that these people found safe shelter to go to. It will be a challenge, but it is not something that's undoable. Many of the current places that we used as shelters were not harmed to the point where we could not use them again as shelters. Now, some of the shelters were damaged beyond the point that we could currently use them as shelters. We would have to do, at that point, evacuation plans that we would have to send them to non-impacted counties. That would mean sending them either down to Collier or up to Sarasota or points beyond, but everybody who would want a public shelter would be able to find one.
Thank you. Another question from the studio?
I think you got a question here.
Yes, in regards to shelter, we talked to a lot of people who were under the misconception that the shelter that they were in was going to be permanent, and they found themselves having to be switched from shelter to shelter. Can you address, when you say shelter and when there's going to be a shelter available, for how long you intend to open that shelter or any shelter, and what can the public expect if they have to, in this case with Francis, seek some kind of shelter?
The question, to repeat, is if shelters. I apologize. What is the state doing to prepare for shelters? Some individuals during Hurricane Charlie were relocated to several different shelters to more permanent shelters. What's the state doing in that regards?
This response would require both myself and Justo to respond, because it's two things are going on here. During the event, as a shelter lost its structural integrity, we had to move people to other shelters, actually, in some cases, during hurricane force winds. I think your question is more focused on people who, after and now into recovery stage, have been moved out of shelters into something else. This is part of the catastrophic housing plan, which Tito can announce.
families in shelters, the shelters are short-term sheltering, short-term solution to actually house someone when we have an impending event.
Predicted to be a cat.